The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gaetz, for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to revise the list.
The gentleman is recognized.
How much more for Ukraine? Is there any limit? Which billionth dollar really kicks in the door? Which red line we set will we not later cross? China reminds us that we have real issues. China began its offensive against our homeland, infiltrating our universities, stealing our innovations, buying off our politicians, surveilling our citizens, all the while capturing the loyalty of America's most powerful corporations. China's influence is overtaking ours, even in our own hemisphere. Our conflict with China may turn very hot very soon. Many believe we are currently in the window of a possible invasion of Taiwan. If not deterred, such an invasion would immediately make life worse for virtually every American. But tomorrow, President Biden will tell us how much more we must do for Ukraine. Look around your house. How much stuff is made in Ukraine, or even Russia, for that matter? Next to China, if you're watching this speech on a smartphone, you're likely using Taiwanese technology. So why Ukraine? A country that just rounded up dozens of senior leaders in its government over overt corruption. Perhaps the answer is as simple as the Hunter Biden life motto: a grifter's got a grift. But the amount of money we now pour into Ukraine makes Burisma's wildest dreams of wealth through Biden family influence seem meek by comparison. Defense contractors need there to be a war going on somewhere, whether the arms end up in the hands of ISIS, the Taliban, the Azov battalion, or on the black market. They get rich in the business of weapons supply, but only when there is weapons demand. A serious nation would never let foreign interests abroad or special interests here at home dictate its foreign policy. The interests of our countrymen must morally compel our greater attention. And as the war slogs on in Ukraine, the benefits to Americans are unclear. Bandits in the Sinaloa Mountains hurt more Americans than the men in Crimea. But foreigners come to Washington to lecture us about spending our constituents' money on a conflict thousands of miles away, and my colleagues are eager to oblige. On this floor, Zelensky's demands got bipartisan standing ovations from most. Stingers, HIMARS, tanks. At first, we said no to all of these things. President Biden even said that some of these things might lead to World War III. And then yet we sent all of them. F-16s are likely still. Lockheed Martin sure is confident that Ukraine will get F-16s. They told the Financial Times recently that they are already ramping up production. Create demand, provide the supply. This is escalating, and we are placing trust in leaders who do not deserve trust. John Kirby, the Pentagon spokesman, who assured us that the Afghan military would withstand the Taliban offensive, now says that there is no risk that Putin will go nuclear. The risk of miscalculation in Ukraine is much, much higher than getting it wrong in Afghanistan. A nuclear war between Russia and the United States would end human life as we know it. And yet Biden is doing everything possible to provoke such a disaster. And for what? The actions we are taking are not going to end the war in Ukraine. In fact, we are probably prolonging the killing. Tens of thousands of Ukrainians and Russians will die this year because Congress feels good when it sends instruments of death and billions in cash. Many dollars sent for the war in Afghanistan ended up in bank accounts in Switzerland and Dubai. To where will we trace the bounty of Ukrainian grift? This war could end tomorrow if we pursued negotiation, but Biden refuses. Not only do we arm the Ukrainian military, we pay their politicians' salaries. The $113 billion in aid included funding the Ukrainian government. We can and must push for peace You don't really hear that from many people these days, with the exception of President Trump. Trump is right to recognize that we are on the brink of World War III and that immediate action for peace is necessary to stop disaster. Unfortunately, there is a bipartisan coalition working to continue the war. When Elon Musk proposed a peace plan, Nikki Haley attacked him, saying we, quote, shouldn't push our weight on them. That is, of course, nonsense. We've pushed billions of dollars on them. We can simultaneously pressure North Korea and China from supplying Russia.
The gentleman's time has
And ought
expired.
to do so.